Hello everyone, good evening. We move on from the high-speed drama from the Italian Grand Prix to the atmosphere here at the Mexican Grand Prix as the SDN Season 7 Championship continues here at the iconic Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. And last time out at the Temple of Speed in Monza, it was Eric once again proving why he's the man everyone is chasing this season. Started third on the grid, he delivered a commanding performance to secure a victory at Monza again, his third win of the season more than anybody, and his championship lead has been extended in the process. That victory now puts him firmly at the top of the standings on 120 points, the only driver in the three figures, opening up a significant gap in the title fight. But one of the standout stories that came from Italy was Fireblaze. Started down in 8th position, he produced an excellent recovery drive through the field, climbing his way towards second place. It was a composed, calculated performance that showcased both his pace and racecraft, and it strengthened his position in the championship fight in the season's progress. And he's had a few podiums this season too, considering he's been knocked out of Q2. But behind them, the fight remains incredibly tight, with Sasha continues to hold second place in the standings, while Amos Kick, Mels and Kevin Zuckerberg are all within striking distance of each other too, as the championship leader is up. But now the Mexican Grand Prix has arrived here, and one of the most unique venues on the circuit. The altitude around here is over 2,000 meters above sea level. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez presents a completely different challenges for drivers and cars alike as well. The thin air dramatically reduces aerodynamic downforce, meaning the braking zones are longer, grip levels are lower, and the drivers must be precise at all times and smooth, because this track is so incredibly difficult as well, and the grip levels feel finite too. So you've got to find the margins and the setup as well to make sure the car is stable and the tyres are as well. But my name is Jay Morris, and alongside me tonight is Milan Langer. Milan, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm alright, thank you very much, and I am looking forward to this track because it can be quite tricky in the race, especially with the tires, because they can overheat that quickly. Yeah, but of course we'll look at that later. It doesn't matter too much right now. In qualifying, just don't warm your tires too much on your outlap, because they will get incredibly hot towards the end of the lap. But short qualifying tonight, good for a change. So we'll see who is the first one out on track, and it's Woozy in the RB, who is the first one to start his flying lap, making his way down one of the longest straights on the calendar, and down heading towards the first chicane. Right, left, and right again, but be mindful of those curbs on the inside. If you hit them at the wrong angle, you can be thrown off or even find yourself with a track invalidation. But he has managed it quite nicely so far, and on the second DRS zone down to the braking zone for the left-hander of turn 4, and down to the tight corner of the right, and now to a double apex of the next two corners to then get the best exit possible. And it's going to be a wild ride now for the remainder of this sector, as you're going to have to go through these S's, manage with the curbs on the inside, and manage with the back end wanting to step out, as he has a slight moment there, but hasn't lost too much time. DRS open for one final time before we enter the braking zone, going into the stadium now with a very tight and twisty section around this track, the slowest part around this track, I believe. His teammate is up ahead, but he won't be in his way. Final corner, and accelerating on throttle while turning, and this first lap time will be a 1:14.817, and let's see who is going to be able to beat that. A lot of drivers out on track, 4 drivers still in pit lane. But I think it's the Williams. Actually, it's Kik who's on lap. Taisi in the Sauber is the next one who is on lap. Actually, no, that's wrong. Mels Makas goes quickest. 14.5, just over 0.2 of a second ahead of the RB driver. So a solid banker lap for Mels Makas, who's shown some great pace this season so far, but hasn't always had the best of luck, or was sometimes involved in incidents, meaning he's not as far up the order as he would have liked. But Taisi makes his way out of the final corner, very tight to the inside. Minimize track distance, 15.5 though. I doubt that's going to be good enough to make it into, I say Q2, but it's not going to be Q2. It's only one qualifying session, of course. But more drivers coming in out of that final corner, and Fireblaze is going to go quickest, quicker than Mels Makas. So good lap time for Fireblaze, who we know is not always the strongest in qualifying, but that is a very solid effort on his first outing, as Geitenkaas goes before Lucas in P3 with a 14.7. And then comes one of the rebels, it's Erik, who is starting his flying lap. And then Misha comes towards the line. Only a 15.0, definitely doesn't seem happy with that lap, as Leonard now goes into P3. but we'll have to focus on those Red Bulls. Always a contender in qualifying, but Happy Meal has made a bit of a mess of his first sector, and that is not going to be a quick lap for him. But at the moment, Fireblaze is at the top of the times after the first few runs.
Slithering and sliding is Happy Meal coming towards the end of the first sector, so clearly not happy with the car as he has lacking confidence, but his teammates behind him, but he's clearly got some confidence this season and could be, well, he is a challenger for the championship, and let's see if his consistency holds up in this Mexican Grand Prix. We know anything could happen around here in Mexico, whether safety cars can decipher your race, kick goes up into P2, or track limits, or in the war, or tire temperature, or management too. So watch out for that. There's a rebel in the way, which is Happy Meal, sorry, as Eric gets a nice toe off the back of his teammates. As we now head down towards his right hand, we go. And let's see how he takes it through here. He uses the curve on the outside very nicely, brings it over to the right hand side, hooks it back on the apex, clipping the apex. You've got to be very, very careful and gingerly on the throttle there as well, because if you don't, you can overstep the mark and spin the car. Here comes Eric towards line. This lap time is going to be a 14.395, and let me tell you, that is a sensational lap time indeed on his first run. Matisse is back. The Belgian driver has finally returned. Former teammates with Zach in the Alpine. I have no idea where he's been, but thankfully he is back. Let's see what he could do, if he's still got the pace or not. Wards is back as well in the McLaren. He turned up at the Hungarian Grand Prix, but unfortunately for him, he made a big mess of it too. So hopefully on his return here, the Lebanese driver who won the championship in PSGL F3 is here. Happy Meal is on another uptime on the same set of the soft compound tyres as he now negotiates his way around a slow speed corner, so you can be very careful too. Just pick the throttle up at the right time. Easier said than done, of course, whilst you're driving, because the pressure is ramped up. Now coming towards this middle sector we go. He's messed up his lines there. His bearings are gone, and unfortunately not smooth, not precise through here as well. The back of the car just stepping out on him as well for good measure as he heads down towards the end of this middle sector we go. A 55.6. He flicks the cars in, but unfortunately for him, he has invalidated lap time, will not count or be representative. So Happy Meal on the back foot because he hasn't really got a representative lap time to his name, and that's ideally what you want, to have a good smooth qualifying session, but unfortunately for him, it's gone the opposite way. Here comes Wards now towards the end of this middle sector, 55.388. We know he's a quick driver, obviously we've seen before in the past. Me and Milan have commented over him in PSGL as he hooks up the apex very nicely. So Happy Meal says he's driving NA, as now we're coming towards the end of the final couple of corners. I think he's got a qualifying ban. Here goes Wards. What can he do? Can he go towards the top? The answer is yes. It's a 14.375, and Wards has finally shown us who he is as he steps up towards the mark here in SDN and puts in a blistering lap time, but super close fine margins as his McLaren teammate goes up into P10 Matisse with a 14.860. Matisse P2 a couple of times in Season 5, and his teammate was Zach as well. We thought both LP drivers were going to be the ones to beat as they had a 1-2 at the Miami Grand Prix, as they missed out as well in the Australian Grand Prix due to Williams taking the victory. I think it was Lucas at the time in Australia, they're kicking P2, Matisse in P3. Robbie Jacobs goes up into P3, a man who's on the podium sometimes as well here in SDN. His main challenger this season has been Season 5, where he's appeared the most, and he's finished second best as well. I think he won the British GP in the sprint, then Eric won it in the feature race at the British GP Season 5, as he goes for a bit of cutting grasses as well. But this track is notoriously so difficult as well, and I'm not going to be surprised you're going to see so many penalties in this race then. It's all about who can keep it the cleanest around this track, who can limit the penalties, if not get any, and that'll definitely serve you well in the race as well. And who might do a two-slot strategy, a one-slot strategy, I actually have no idea. This is quite unknown coming towards the Mexican Grand Prix. I have seen a one-stop work, but it's very risky indeed, as you have to have superb time management. But we'll see who's the ones that can benefit on the one-stop or two-slot strategy, because I actually have no idea. Milan, do you?
Yeah, it can go either way. I'm more leaning towards the two-stop because my tire management lately hasn't been that strong. But one stop is definitely possible if you don't fight too much in your stints and you have a good amount of clean air in good tire management. It can very well pay off, and of course a pit stop less. It's most of the time quicker. So if you can go for a one stop, you can try. But the two stop is definitely possible as well. So we might see a mix of both, which is going to make up for an interesting race, having two separate strategies across the race. But we'll have to wait and see and hope we don't get a safety car in the last 5 laps, because some backmarkers make a misfit. But we're in qualifying still with 8.5 minutes to go. There's quite a few drivers out on track preparing for their second runs, including Happy Meal, of course. Now his best lap time is 5.5 seconds off the pace. He can go much quicker. He invalidated on his second run, but on his third attempt, let's see, can he keep it within the white lines at least, or not make many mistakes, as he goes a little bit deep in towards turn 1, but not too much, as he cuts across the inside curves nicely indeed, and that looks much better than his initial run. So already up for an improvement, but it was at the end of the lap where he invalidated on his second time, and now towards turn 4 and turn 5. Nice and tight on the inside, and down to the double right-hander of turns 6 and 7, accelerating out and using some battery, going towards the SS. Always tricky, hitting the grass slightly on the inside. You have to be mindful that curb on the outside can really throw you off. So I was riding on board with Sasha a couple of minutes ago, and he hit that curb on the outside at a completely wrong angle, and got a poor run in towards the next corner, and lost a couple of tens or hundreds with that. But Happy so far has kept it clean, and most importantly within the white line, so it looks like he might finally get a representative lap time on the board. Just one corner to negotiate, and he does that pretty well indeed, as maybe has got a little bit too much ERS remaining in the battery, but he's going to go up to P7, and he's only 1.5 tenths away from Wards, but he's still down at P7. That's just how close it is at the moment. But many more drivers out there. On Fireblaze has just started another lap. Sasha is on an outlap just ahead of him, so let's hope that he will get out of the way, as Kick now goes quickest with a 14.272 in the Williams, finally turning up in this qualifying session so far. And Fireblaze not improving in sector 1. Mels now goes quickest, 14.1, and the lap times starting to improve very quickly indeed in this qualifying session. The gaps are starting to form a little bit, but what can Erik do? He's up by 5/100ths of a second through sector 1. He's currently over 2/10ths of a second away from the Mercedes of Mels. Mels always quick in qualifying, not always as much in the race, but Erik at the moment is doing a good job of keeping his car within those white lines, and looks very planted through the S's there. So decent middle sector it seems like, and it is, because he's up by 1.5 tenths, so it might get very close towards the end with Mels. If he finds a few more hundredths of a second, he could be right on the time of the Mercedes driver. Now coming out of the final corner, throwing your car in towards the last one, and then getting a very tight run to the inside. It's going to be a 14.148, 11 thousandths of a second separating the two, but Erik is back on provisional pole position. What about Lucas in the Williams? He has backed off, will not improve. Geitekaas has invalidated. Robbe is off track, will not improve either. Wards though, he is up by 1/10 of a second through sector 1, and he was very quick on his first run. Let's see, has he found time in the middle sector as well? Does the McLaren? Yes, he has, over 2/10 of a second. We might be seeing a brand new pole position time. It goes a little bit wide there on the entry in towards the final sector, but not by too much, and keeps it within the white line. So coming out of the final corner, can he beat a 1:14.1 and go back ahead of Erik? Yes, he can. 14.117, 300ths of a second ahead of the Red Bull driver. Great lap there from Wards, and he's back on provisional pole position.
What can his teammate do in the second McLaren as he heads down towards the first, second and third corner? We go now in fourth gear now as he upshifts very early now. Exit the corner with DRS wide open on towards this second straight. Remember, only one detection point for 2 DRS zones. I think Sasha has just popped himself up into P5. The Australian Grand Prix race winner is up into P5 ahead of Leonard, who's actually changed his name, as he used to be called LS3 now, so it makes it more easy now for me to pinpoint and focus on. Matisse coming through turn 8 now through this left-hander, quick here as well as he takes it through 6th gear, finessing the car left, right and centre. Here we go now towards this. Oh, he spins on the curb! He spun on the curb and broke his front wing. I think Sebastian Vettel or Kimi Raikkonen did the same thing. I'm not quite sure. George Russell did it in a practice session as well, if I remember correctly. And unfortunately for him, he has gone for a spin. 2015, when it was a double Ferrari retirement, Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen. I think they both DNF due to crashing. Bottas and Raikkonen crashed, I think, and Sebastian Vettel put it in the wall. And that was a turn number 8, I believe it was as well, as Ward heads his way back in the pit lane. It's such a difficult corner Won't be the first and won't be the last as well. I think Kevin Magnussen had an issue on that curve. I think it was before in that middle sector in the S section where he spun off and went off as well and crashed in Mexico. It was a very bizarre crash for him and unfortunately ruined his race. But there was 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go on the clock. I'm just trying to remember who has crashed there in the past, because I keep thinking there's a Haas or Williams. I think Alex Albon as well has also crashed there too, if I'm not mistaken, or Carlos Sainz, because I definitely remember a Williams end up in that wall as well. But both Kick Saubers are back here as well. Mum and Nick and Tyson have taken a bit of a sabbatical recently too, so they are back. And if it was for qualifying, Mum and Nick will be on the brink, but Colin finished P10 back at the Italian Grand Prix in 17th place there as he started in P16. It was a hectic, chaotic Monza Grand Prix after a safety car really galvanised and changed everything up and spiced the order up too. And we saw that Mugello-like safety car restart where Bottas held up the pack and the guys behind like Latifi, Giovinazzi, Magnussen crash, and I can't remember who else crashed as well. But here we go now to Carlos Sainz as well. As we now make our way towards the stadium section, we go where the crowd goes electric when Sergio Perez arrives there. As we now make our way towards the final couple of corners on this racetrack. Let's see what the Kick Sauber driver could do. He's known for scoring points. Mum and Nick only, sadly for him, goes P14 with a 15.0. So there's a 9-10 deficit from him all the way towards Bird. Majority of people are still in the pit lane. Collins up by 0.2 of a second in the first set. So let's go on board with the Haasman's progress as he started down in P16 last time out in Monza. Let's see what he does. 1-1-0 up in the middle set. So he goes a bit hesitant as well. So not really the best line through there. Goes off the track, but still makes it on, but compromised line because you want to take a wider angle going through there too in turn 16 as he's lost a bit of time now. Oh, he's definitely lost a lot of time now, where Lance Stroll crashed back in 2021, I believe it was. I think it was anyway with Verstappen when it was Mercedes 1-2, but Verstappen took pole. Verstappen won the race. Hamilton P2, Perez P3, Bottas got spun around by Daniel Ricciardo. Happy Meal now 3,000 up in the first set. So also about Bottas too. I know Milan Langer doesn't like to talk about Valtteri Bottas because it's his favourite driver, but he crashed there back in 2017 as well. No, 2019, when he crashed there, and unfortunately for him, it ruined his qualifying session as well. Not quite sure where he finished on that day because I know the Mercedes cars typically don't do well around here in Mexico, despite Hamilton winning back in 2019 after both Ferrari drivers were leading after Verstappen and Hamilton made contact in towards the first couple of corners. Both Ferraris bottled a strategy. Hamilton went on to win. Unexpected win there for Mercedes. Here comes Happy Meal now sliding his way towards the final couple of corners on this racetrack. Robert Jacobs goes up into P2. What a mega lap time there from the Belgian driver indeed in P2, and he'll be thrilled with that. But every single driver now is on their outlaps and started their final flying laps here in qualifying. The pressure will be fully ramped up. Who will bottle the pressure? Who will make mistakes going towards this final part of qualifying? As we see Leonard then headed down in towards turn 1, hard on the brakes in third gear, clipping the apex is very nicely. I think Lucas goes up into P8 in the Williams there, in the Williams there, as the DRS then is open for the Racing Bull driver as he has bats off. He's turned his ERS off, has he? He has, as he made a big mistake in taking turn 3. The car got all out of shape and wobbly out of the third corner. But I don't know if there's much time in this qualifying session to go for a second lap. He's a validator, yeah, he has a validator, so I didn't see that on my tracking there. As we see, go on board with somebody else then who is on their flight. Every single driver out there except Colin and Mum and Nick, they're done for qualifying. I'm just trying to see who's closest towards the line. Matisse down in the first sector by a 10th of a second. Hatakas is down too. Let's go on board with Eric. Just go on board with Eric as he now makes his way towards the end of the first set. So up by 1/10 already. So this is a good sign and a good improvement there for the Dutchman as he now flicks his way in towards the slow part of the racetrack in the first sector for the slow speed corners. Oh, the back of the car just wagging as he makes his way out of turn 7 towards turn 8 we go as he flicks the car in very nicely in 5th gear, using the curves, mounting the curves as well as his teammates right in front of him to give a slipstream. Hopefully doesn't invalidate in the dirty air. The DRS and the slipstream and the battery will be used on this short straight. Coming towards now, turn 14 we go. Miles Mackis up into P4 in the Mercedes. Fireblaze stays in P5 for Mercedes 2 behind his teammate once again. Here comes Miles Mackis is on pole with a 14.043. But what can Eric do? Wars P2, kick P3. Eric is back on pole. The only driver in the 13s, a 13.9. What a phenomenal performance, and what a stellar performance there from Eric once again. He's really showing what type of driver he is. A strong caliber of a driver. And Eric is really, really ramping it up now here in SDN. He means business. He stands on business. And ain't nobody getting in the way of that either. But it is Eric, the Red Bull man, on pole ahead of Miles Makis and Wards. What a brilliant qualifying session despite his downers back in Hungary. Kicking P4 ahead of Robbie Jacobs in P5, Fireblaze P6, Sasha P7 ahead of Leonard, Lucas, Misha in the Alpine P10. We got Happy Meal in P11 ahead of Jens, Wusi P13, Matisse, Mumminik, Ticey and Colin. But Milan Langer, once again, Eric is really showing his mettle here tonight.
Yeah, he is. Another impressive qualifying from him and another pole position. And like you said, the only driver in the 1/13 really making qualifying in SDN his own. And once again, he will be at the front of the field. But the question is pole position where you want to start around Mexico when you've got that incredibly long run towards turn 1 and the drivers behind you will all be slipstreaming you heading towards that first chicane. So it might not be the best news for him that he is starting on pole position, but of course he will have a clear track ahead of him, but he might get challenged going in towards turn 1. But now we will focus on the strategies as well. We mentioned before a little bit, but tire wear is quite high. Tire temperatures are quite high, meaning that the tire wear, the tire degrade faster when they're overheating. So we might see some drivers having to go for the 2-stop, or maybe a lot of drivers having to go for the 2-stop, because when you're stuck in that terrain, those tires will get warmer and warmer, and you will eventually start to struggle and slide around, and your tires will get worse and worse. So it's better to get out of that terrain, go for the alternative 2-stop, and try and see and make it work. But of course, a safety car could throw things around always, so you never know how it's going to play out. But I think we're going to see 2 different strategies being played out here around Mexico. And I'm very excited for it, but I'm also very excited about what's going to happen heading towards turn 1. We've got Erik, Mels, Ward, Kick, Robert Fireblaze, all of those drivers running towards turn 1, fighting it out on the same piece of tarmac and trying to take that lead. But it's time to get ready for the Mexican Grand Prix.
Here we go then. It's almost time to go racing here. And we are underway, 850 metres, all the way down towards turn 1. It is lights out. Walls gets a messy start. Miles Makis takes the lead now. Eric tucks in behind the slipstream onto Mercedes, but 3 abreast in the background there. Cars absolutely everywhere we go. Here comes Eric side by side with the Mercedes, heading down towards turn 1. Here comes Walls around the outside. Inside line for turn 2 and turn 3. Bit of contact there, but Eric is up into P2, or goes down into P2. Walls P3. What a mega launch from Miles Makis there. And Eric was wise to tuck in the slipstream. Further in the background we go. Here comes Robert down the inside of Walls for P3. Aggressive send down the inside, but Walls is still there on the outside as he mounts the curb. Hopefully gives him space, which he does do only a bit though as he pushes him on the boundaries of the racetrack. Walls now goes up into P3 ahead of Robbie Jacobs as Kick is in P5. But Leonard has spun. Down in P17 he goes, the same place where Stroll spun, I think, as well last year. As we got cars off the road we go. The LP driver off the road, I think it's Misha who's made up 3 places. He goes up into P7. Matisse is ahead of Hanzik. Oh, contact with Hanzik gas as he goes in the wall there. And here, there's a Racing Bull in front of us who spun. That is Wusi. Both Racing Bulls, a dramatic horror show nightmare race as they're both down in last place. They both have lost their wings, and unfortunately for them, it is going to be a long race for them as well. So both Racing Bulls, Wusi and Leonard, the 2 drivers we know who are capable of scoring points. But look at Eric on the charge. A Red Bull is seeing his target right in front of him in this new stream. No DRS, of course, as Wards is dropping backwards there. Not a good thing to do, especially when the DRS is not active, because you could utilise this to get closer and closer. But Eric, despite losing pole, is not letting him phase it whatsoever. But Miles Makis is in the lead of the Grand Prix. And Miles Makis, we know, who was a contender early doors in the championship, and we'll see how Miles Makis' race transpires. He won the Mexican US Grand Prix further up north in America, but here down South America, let's see if he can try to control the lead and keep Eric at bay. But it's going to be a massive task to do that, because Eric has been flying so far this season. And him in P2 with the DRS at the back of Miles Makis, he can play the long game and try to control this race like he did back in Monza. He gets swapping around with the rookie driver of Rafael. Surprisingly, Rafael's not here, unfortunately, so hopefully he comes back, because he was really a good driver. But unfortunately, there was contact, and Colin has fallen down the order too. He goes down into P16. And Robbie Jacobs gone for a spin. And that is at turn 14, unfortunately for him. So fortunately for him, he has gone down the order. and he's gone down into P11. So unfortunately for him, he's really struggling there in the Ferrari. But the DRS is open on this lap. Then let's see if Eric can overtake Miles Mackey. Surely now, with the helping hand of the battery, the DRS, the slipstream, and he does. He breezes past him. He goes up into first place as Kick, once again, Milan. It seems like Kick just struggles to stay with the DRS range. That's been his kryptonite this season. His longevity pace has not been sufficient, and he keeps dropping out of DRS range. So his long race pace hasn't worked out, unfortunately, for him in P4.
No, once again dropping out 1.2 seconds. Ward has done well enough to stay within the DRS range of the top two, and now finds himself within a few tenths of a second of Mels. But it's Kick, like you said, who has dropped out as Colin House to the pit lane after spinning around twice. Whilst Woozy also had to make a pit stop after that contact. He was the one who hit Geitegas and eventually spun around himself as well. And picked up front wing damage in the process, as Leonard, the other RB, is busy fighting it out with Ticey as they head towards the S section. But Ticey is clever and backs out of it, not wanting to fight. Going through there, but at the front, Erik now finds himself back in the lead of this race. Took him a few laps, 2 laps to be precise, to get back into lead as Ticey has spun around and loses a lot of time. But the gap is 6.5 tenths between our two race leaders. But Mels, he will just want to stay close enough to Erik within this first, and he don't want to fight too much and burn up your tires. But he has got the DRS now and might use that battery as well to retake the lead of this race. Here he comes with the help of the slipstream on lap 4. To the inside he goes, and Mels back into the lead, and Ward continues to follow Kick, still just outside the DRS range, but the gap hasn't really grown. It's still 1.2 seconds, so he might be able to get back within 1 second, because the top 3 is really quite close to each other. But he's now also under pressure from Sasha behind in the Ferrari, but he is not going to fight the Williams right now, heading towards the middle sector. Kick though has to use a lot of battery to try and remain close enough to that top 3, but he would really like to get back within DRS range. The gap's 1.1 seconds now, so the Kick side was Ticey now into the pit lane after his off on the previous lap. But look at that DRS range now behind Kick all the way towards Leonard in P14. Who, as I said, the Geitegas is actually out of the DRS range. He hit the wall, but he hasn't. I don't think he has lost his end plate. So quite a tough Alpine. It must be. Oh, in the background, Leonard spinning off into the wall, right behind the Alpine, and around he goes. And that's not the first time on this race that we've seen an RB driver facing the wrong direction. And I think he's got front wing damage for a good measure. So really a difficult day for the boys in the RB. But we're on to lap 5. Erik is going to try and re-overtake. These two are just going to be swapping around, especially in this first stint as Mels goes slightly defensive. Sasha now is able to get ahead of Kick, heading towards turn 1, but he goes quite deep under braking, losing him the opportunity to stay within DRS range. But of course he's got that DRS off Kick because it's a double DRS zone, so we can utilize that to keep closing the gap towards the top 3. But Kick now lost another position down to P5. Misha in P6, and Misha, he's made up quite some progress in this race. Started out in P10 up into P6 with a good opening stage of this race, but can he stay there and keep himself in that fight as Sasha has almost closed the gap towards Ward down to under 1 second. I think he is going to do it, so that's going to bring the entire top 12 back within one big DRS train.
Indeed it is, but unfortunately for him, the 3 ahead of him have got DRS on the short straight, which might pull him even backwards there as well. But in these slow speed corners, whilst these guys are stuck in the turbulent wake of each other and affecting the aerodynamics of the car gets it super hot. But look at Waters' ERS, 100%. So this is looking good for him if he can save that battery, whilst the 2 ahead of him are scrapping away. He is 3rd in the DRS train, and the benefit of this straight, it is very long, so you might leave from the guy ahead in P1 even as well, despite being in P3, as the guy in first place will be vulnerable. But here, because Miles Mack is now side by side, leapfrogging Erik. But the problem is, though, he's quite low on battery, so he might need to focus on saving battery, especially at this part of the race now as well, because he's got control. But if any signs of weakness show, for example, if a driver starts flashing on the straight, that means the guy behind will take full course and opportunity as well, because they don't want to be stuck in the DRS train. So Miles Mack has got to really focus on his battery management, and he's got to be sufficient in terms of managing battery as well. You can see Lucas there all over the back of Fireblaze. These 2 former championship contenders, of course. Fireblaze, Season 1 and Season 2 champ. I'll keep reminding everybody as well. The OG around here in SDN. He's been around ever since the season started here in SDN, and he's doing a good job so far with P7. Watch out for him, because his long race pace is quite suffice, especially in the long run as well. So he could be a threat towards the end. We know he's a threat, and if the guys ahead start making mistakes, he's like the Grim Reaper. He always takes it away. But look at Watson in P3. When will he decide to strike? Can he do a double overtake or try and take on Miles Marcus as well to put him in second place and try and get himself in a good position to try and fight for the lead of the Grand Prix? Eric, massive slide out of the final corner. You can see the rear tyres really burning as we now make our way onto the main straight once again. Ward is ducking in and out of DRS and Slishim as well, as we see Eric then closing with the battery. 350 kph of a 350 kph. That is about 225 miles per hour. But we've got some pitters there in the midfield, which is Lucas and Robert Jacobs. They could be alternated to a two-stop strategy because they don't want to be stuck in traffic, and they were stuck in traffic, but with the two-stop strategy, they might pull some strings and they might do them favours towards the end. So let's see if that strategy works for them. But these guys will continue to elongate the first in. So it could be a case of a one-stop versus two-stop clean air versus track position, and in this DRS train as well. So watch out for that as well. There could be many factors in this race that could really determine the outcome of this Grand Prix. But so far, it's just so Eric who leads this race. I wonder if these guys may be thinking about a two-stop strategy, lower end of the midfield. But we'll see. Pure pace versus time management. That's going to be what it is in this race as well. Plus a bit of management too, and stay within the confines of the white lines too. That's the main important thing of a race to win these races. So far, hopefully I don't jinx it. I will jinx it because somebody will. Nobody has got a 3-second time penalty, but that could be jinxed anytime soon. It's not really commentators' curse because we do know somebody will pick one up. But in the pit lane comes Eric and Kick, surprisingly. So this is going to be a two-stop strategy. I don't think nobody's going to risk it on a one-stop because the time management or the tyre wear is too high around here. So Kick and Eric then on the hardcore power tyres, they're definitely going to do medium hard. And look at that, Woozy does have a 3-second penalty as well in this race. So there they are on the new hardcore power tyres. Let's see if his teammate and Robbie Jacobs will undercut them. The undercut is massive and powerful. Here comes Lucas flying past his Williams teammate as Lucas goes into P10. And here comes Robbie Jacobs too. The DRS wide open and flies past the other Williams as well. Now he's a Williams sandwich there. The Ferrari versus the Williams, what good old days. But unfortunately, Fireblaze is in the Mercedes. There was a massive rivalry back in season 3, 4, 5 when Fireblaze was in the Ferrari. Fid Hertz and Mike, they were both in the Ferrari and they were fighting all the way through as well. Former champions of SDN Kick, Fireblaze and Mike for season 3. I think Ferrari was 3-time Constructors Championship or 4-time Constructors Championship with Mike and Fireblaze as well. But back towards the front of the field, I think we could see these people dive in the pit lane at the end of this lap. Will anybody dare to try and do a one-stop strategy? Are people thinking about a safety car too, which could be a factor? But you never know. It's on a controllable variable in a race stream. You don't know when a safety car comes out. It could benefit you or disadvantage you. It could swing about and roundabouts. Sasha, Fireblaze and Happy Meal are all in the pit lane to dispose of their mini-cup powered tyres and put on horse towards the end of the race, or maybe do another stop. But I think Eric should definitely get the undercut on them or those guys. Down the inside goes Wards. These two are fighting it out, and that was a late send there for Wards. Spot goes up into first place. I don't think this is wise for these two. They need to hang fire. They need to hold back. They don't need to fight like this because the more times they do, the worse it'll be. They lose even more time. And look who's up into P3, Misha as well. So great start for him in P3, just like it was in Singapore JSR. He climbed up the order. Kick and Robert side by side. Robert a bit later breaks there. Kick trying to do a switchback, and Kick gets a better exit than the Ferrari driver. DRS for both drivers indeed. Let's see if Kick can get ahead of Robbie Jacobs. He's been undercutted by him, but not on this occasion. Kick stays in P9 for the time being, as it is a Williams Ferrari sandwich there as well, with Fireblaze in P11 then. So the top 5 have decided to stay out, which is Wards, Mos Marcus, Misha, Matisse and Hansen Kass. Do you think, Milan, they are possibly leaning towards a one-stop strategy or trying to do a two-stop? But if they do a two-stop, that means they'll fall behind the order and be stuck in traffic. So it could be more to a one-stop, do you think?
Yeah, they're staying out for another lap, so the longer they stay out, the more I will think that they're going to go for a two-stop, obviously. As Happy Meal now picks up a 3-second time penalty, not having a great race at all, as Nelson Wards swap around once more. And Wards is always sideways in towards turn 1, as you can definitely see that he is starting to struggle on those old mediums. But they could go for a one-stop. Erik is only 4 seconds behind Geitenkaas, but Geitenkaas is very far behind the top 4. So as long as they keep their tires alive and work together as a train, they might be able to pull it off. It's going to take a while before Eric is able to catch up, because he's still around 12 seconds behind those drivers, and they only need to make it around lap 15, 16, I think. 15, you could make it to the end on a set of hards, so 5 more laps should be doable on this stint. But the fact that they're still staying out for that much longer, whilst all their rivals have made their pit stop already, tells me that they might be leaning more towards a one-stop. It's going to be interesting though. Only 5 drivers have remained out. I expected a few more to try and go for the one-stop, but the majority have made their pit stop. But let's see if Mills is going to do something at the end of this lap. He is going to do something, and that's staying out. So does Ward, Misha and Matisse. So it definitely seems like these are the 5 drivers to look out for, although Geitegaas not really a factor in this race anymore after his earlier spin, as Wards now gets back ahead of Mels to take away that position to go back up into the lead of this race. But I definitely think that those guys are going for the one-stop. Erik has almost caught up to the back of Geitegaas to get ahead of the Alpine. He's got a nice gap towards Lucas, who finds himself actually in a net P2 position. So Lucas has manifested his way up in the podium positions with a nice undercut for him. Robbe, similar for him, because he will be P3 once the top 5 make their pit stop. Yellow flags are out, and it is for Colin once again, having gone off kick. Now would be in P4, unable to get past Robbe at this stage at the moment, but is quite safe in this position, as Erik is getting held up there by Geitegaas, and that is losing in time to the cars behind. He's going to try and go round the outside in towards the SS. That's not going to work. That is not going to work. Erik, what have you done? As he is spun around and making contact with the Alpine, and you could see that coming from a distance away. He's lucky he has not picked up front wing damage or lost his end plate, but yeah, that was just going to happen as Lucas sends one at the inside of Geitegaas, forcing the Alpine off track, who's now going to get out of the way of this fight, not wanting to end up in the wall once more in this race. But Erik, really, really unfortunate, although maybe a little bit self-inflicted that moment. It has cost him dearly. He has not only got those guys back within DRS range, but he's down to P3, and Lucas finds himself in the net race lead. But Lucas, he has got a time penalty as well, a 3-second time penalty. And here comes Robert to the inside of the Williams to take away the potential race lead. Erik follows him through as well to get ahead of the Williams, who's going to stick it round the outside, back up the inside. But he's not going to have the better line, as there's slight contact between the two. The DRS will be there for Erik and won't be there for Lucas, and he might lose 3 positions in just a few corners time, because here comes his teammate Kick trying to go around the outside, but he thinks the better of it and is going to stay behind. Maybe try a switchback move, but now Robbe finds himself in the net race lead. Never a boring race when you've got Robbe out in front, so we'll have to look out for the remaining 2/3 of this race. But yeah, Erik now back up into what would be second place. Definitely seems like he is struggling a little bit, so he might have picked up a very slight bit of front wing damage, but it's not noticeable on the outside. But at the front, it has remained calm, and that fight is really helping them out. The top 4, or the top 3 I should say, as Mels is going to pull into the pit in the end of lap 12, a bit early for a one-stop strategy, because he's going to have to do 24 laps on a set of hards, so he's going to have to do some big tire management in that second stint if he wants to make that one-stop work. Matisse also into the pit lane in the McLaren to swap around his set of mediums to a set of hards, and they're both dropping like a stone down the field, because that undercut is just so powerful, and those mediums are absolutely dead. As Geitegaas has retired in pit lane, his race was already going from bad to worse, and it's gone to worst as he is out of the race, and something's happened.
Yeah, so Erik got back ahead of Robert, but Robert and Erik making contact towards turn 2 and turn 3 is so tight going down towards turn 3. But here comes Lucas up the inside towards turn 4. These guys are getting almost out. Robbie Jacobsen, here comes the other Ferrari. They make contact. Luke Kick, 2 Ferraris, 2 Williams going side by side, and 1 Williams gets ahead of Ferrari, but no, he goes deep in the corner, and Sasha goes up into P6 there. So we've got the Italians versus the Brits there, and looks like Robbie Jacobsen stays in P4. But guess what? Erik has built up a gap again. These two were too busy squabbling, and has allowed Erik to build up again a 1 second gap. But Robbie Jacobsen does have the DRS there on the back of him, so can he use that DRS to get closer and closer? So Erik's impatience cost him dearly, and all of a sudden he's back up into third place, the net leader of the Grand Prix. So that's worked out wonders for him. See the guys behind fight as well. That's what happens when you fight style, especially in this part of the Grand Prix. You just want to be patient. It's all about patience in this race, and some people may be lacking it too. Let's see if Robbie Jacobs did get himself in DRS range of... No, he didn't. He's out of the DRS range, and it's really cost him too. So that fight with Lucas has put him down sufficiently. And here comes Sasha with the DRS, the back of kick. No, Lucas, sorry, as we head down into towards turn one. He's going to go around the outside. Can he make his stick? This is unbelievable. He broke so late there, almost off the track, but couldn't make his stick as he stays behind for the time being. That's like a Max Verstappen-esque move there as well. Tries to go all the way around the outside like that. And I thought for 1 second he'd make it work. Remember Verstappen back in 2021 when Hamilton and Bottas went side by side in towards turn one from P3, and Verstappen got himself into first place, or 4, sorry, when it was Perez versus Leclerc Verstappen, and Perez was out of the Mexican Grand Prix due to going 3 abreast in towards turn 1, being so aggressive and unfortunately losing his race as well. And that was his last race for Red Bull too, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was actually. And was it? Oh, yeah, I think it was, because 2025 it was Liam Lawson / Yuki Tsunoda as well. But yeah, it didn't go well for Perez at all. I think he still remained in the race. Yeah, he did do that, because he was fighting with Liam Lawson in the Mexican Grand Prix, and we know how that turned out. Those two not really like each other, especially the Australian Grand Prix too. We haven't even talked about Australia or China yet, but the Australian Grand Prix with those two were making contact as well. But Robbie Jacobs is back within the DRS range of Eric, so this fight for the lead still intensifies and still remains. But Sasha and Lucas behind us, they both have a 3-second time penalty in this race. So Fireplays once again, as I think Colin's gone for a spin down in P16 there. I think he has, as he pirouettes around. But Fireblaze in P6, he's always like a silent assassin, a dark horse, every single time. He's always there, no matter what. And somehow, some way, this man might find himself on the podium, because the two ahead of us have got penalties in this race. Now, who were we looking out for? Moles, Makis, Misha and Wards. They could be going for a one-stop strategy. Surely a one-stop strategy is now on the table for them, because there's no point doing a two-stop strategy, because it's over for them. The pit window for a two-stop is completely closed now. So they're definitely the one-stop strategy towards the end, as Colin gets a penalty. The two racing bulls are scrapping out for P14 as Colin's retired in the pit lane, so his race is done and dusted there. I keep seeing Robbie Jacobs go off the track in turn 14. That's twice he's him do it. So one more infringement could mean a 3-second time penalty for the Dutchman indeed. For the Belgian driver, as Robbie is desperately trying to stay within Eric's DRS there. Eric keeps pulling away as well, despite the contact he made with Gas. But he's still in DRS range, Robbie Jacobs, but Lucas is on the back of him. Here we go, then is Lucas about 7 on the inside of Robbie Jacobs, going down in towards turn 1. The answer is no. He's too far back to make any sort of lunge and impression there against the Ferrari driver. But who is going to win the Mexican Grand Prix? Is it Robert? Is it Eric? Could it be anybody else? Kick or Fireblaze in P5 and P6. But Lucas once again used the battery, burning it down the straight. Is this wise to go down the inside like this in towards turn 4? Is it wise? Because you just said Robbie Jacobs out wide. They're both making contact. And look at that. Yep, it's unwise. I'm not quite sure why they've done that, as Robbie Jacobs is not happy. As through goes Sasha, goes up into P2. That was completely unnecessary, I dare say, from Robbie Jacobs. But Fireblaze now side by side with Lucas. I think he's frustrated that Lucas went down the inside, sent him wide, and they both made contact in towards 5 and 6. And guess what? Eric is pulled away once again. So that was definitely not a wise move indeed there for... Well, Lucas is obliged to be doing it. It's racing, of course. He can go for whatever he wants. But Robbie Jacobs, you can't be driving like that, I'm afraid, mate. It's just unnecessary, and has completely ruined both races too. Lucas is obliged to go down the inside. Of course he is. It's racing. But if you're thinking in terms of the long run and overall pace, you just let Eric build a 1 second gap again. You just let him get away, and that could be the side of the Grand Prix too. And look at this kick on the back of Robbie Jacobs. The Ferrari man is under pressure once again from a kick as we head down in towards turn 1 we go. But no sort of lunge there from the Williams driver as he stays in P4 for the time being. Now, what was your take on that, Milan, in towards turn number 4?
Well, Robert definitely did not give a lot of space, but I could say to Lucas he could have expected that, as we see kick now at the back of Robert. He's not going to go to the inside there, and opting to stay behind after seeing what happened to his teammate when he attempted that. But of course, Robert unhappy with that move, but he knew that he was going to lose a lot of time when fighting like that, and they were risking falling out of DRS, so that's why he was defending so hard. I might not have been very happy with that send up the inside. Not really understand why Lucas tried to go for it, because they were still obviously in a DRS trainer now. They're at P3 and P5 and well outside the DRS train of P1 as Robbo goes wide for 25th time as Sasha up ahead slides around. But we've seen Robert going wide there, and Sasha's really out of shape there, but we've seen Robert go wide so many times. But I checked his race director and he hasn't picked up a single warning there, as Woozy now picked up a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. Not sure what he's doing with his teammate. I guess it makes sense now why those guys went for the one stop, because they're predicting a last lap safety car in the last 5 laps. Definitely possible with some of those drivers at the back. So but at the front it's Erik who's maintained a 1.9 second gap now towards Sasha, who lost like half a second with that slide around in the final sector, and he's got a 3-second time penalty for good measure. So looks like Erik might find himself once again running away with it, but we're only halfway through this race and there's a lot that can happen, and just one single undercut could put anyone back in contention in the fight with Erik, as Robbe maintaining his gap towards his teammate. He's got Kick still close behind Lucas, very close behind once more again, and Fireblaze, he's just there as always, like you mentioned, and Happy Meal really not having a happy time around the Mexican GP, as yellow flags around once again for one of the RB drivers, and that's a VSC, not a full-time safety car, but it is a neutralization, and that might be great timing for those guys who went for the 2-stop, because 18 laps on the hards is definitely possible, because there's drivers who are planning to do 22, but to those who went for the 1-stop, they could try and convert it into a 2-stop with this VSC, but that depends on how long it's going to stay out. And Erik is going to pull into the pit lane though from the lead. Is everyone else going to follow him? Sasha is. Robbe is going to do that as well. He's holding off Kick because he doesn't want to lose time with the double stack. The 2 Williams drivers are going to have to double stack as well, so Fireblaze might gain 2 positions in this process. And Mels, he is the first one to stay out. Of course, he was going for that 1-stop. Mominik is up at the 2nd place somehow after all that, and then it's Warts and Misha who are both on that 1-stop as well, and Erik is going to come out then in P5, quite a long VSC, so they're all able to make their pit stop under yellows. And look at the gap between Erik and Sasha, it's somehow 5 seconds. Not sure where that has come from, and where Erik has found so much time. But Robbe, he has lost a lot of positions. Lucas has done as well. So Kick is now back behind the Ferrari driver of Sasha. And then it's Fireblaze in the Mercedes in P9, then Happy Meal and Robbe and Lucas all the way behind then. And the DRS has been enabled as the Ferrari driver of Robbe is all out of shape. This might get feisty between Robbe and Lucas as they're back fighting it out. And Lucas is going to try and send one up the inside, this time towards turn for a bit of contact on the braking zone. And he goes up the inside, and this time he does get the move done. But Robbe is going to try and go for the switchback on the Williams. He's nowhere near alongside, but he's going to send one up the inside anyway, because he's Belgian. And he goes side by side with the Williams. And now they're going heading side by side towards turn 7, but this time he is playing it clever and he's not going to send one around the outside there. But we've got yellow flag once again for an RB driver, but Lucas finally gets that position, but I wonder if he's got it for good, because now Robbe is going to be behind him with DRS down the main straight, so that fight might not be over yet. But at the front on lap 20, Mels is 1.5 seconds ahead of Mominik, who is going to get overtaken by Warts, and I'm not sure why Mominik had stayed out, because he was definitely on a 2-stop. Here comes Misha though up the inside as well to take away that podium position, and Mominik drops down to P4.
Oh,
As Leonard has retired on track, and there is your safety car. Only on lap 20 though, so a bit earlier than usual, but Leonard is out of the race, definitely not the first time we've seen him cause a safety car. Both RB drivers there involved in an incident that are causing a neutralization in this race. Great news for Mominik though, and with the back so bunched up, he's going to lose those positions. But I wonder then, is Mels and Warts still going to stay out? They've got a 6 and 7 lap tire disadvantage compared to anyone else, and the gap that they might have built, although not really a significant gap, is going to be gone as well with this safety car. But we're going to have 17 laps of racing after this, and we find ourselves with a safety car here at Mexico.
I think it's another complete BS safety car once again. It's just not needed, unfortunately, and I must say, from Leonard's part, if that was purposeful or not, We did see him spin at turn number 3, and his hardcore pad tyres were surely. Oh, what's Woozy doing there? Trying to overtake Ticey down towards turn 14. But yeah, both Racing Bulls there who suffered with unfortunate bad luck in the first lap of the Grand Prix. I think, oh my goodness me, don't make contact on the safety car. But surely you think Miles Marquez is going to pit. Yeah, he is pitted. It's a no-brainer. Well, I say that. Wards is staying out there too. So Wards, unfortunately for him, won't have cars in the way as Root is retired at the pit lane entry as well. So both Racing Bulls are out of this race. I don't think, yeah, because these guys stayed out, he couldn't lap himself. So that's why he's retired from this race. So Wards has stayed out there, and I dare say that guy is going to be swamped on the straight. What's this going down in towards turn number 1 here? Fireblaze is racing to get ahead of his teammate. So Fireblaze does get ahead of his teammate there, as both Mercedes are occupying the third row in P5 and P6. So Miles Marquez ends up behind his teammate. But you know what? It's not really gone too badly for Miles Marquez, even though I think that the one-stop strategy was not going to work because the guys on the 2-stop will be so much faster and they'll be hunting them down towards the end. The drop-off on the hardcore power tyres for those guys on the 1-stop will be too much, and therefore they'll be lacking pace significantly as well. So that's why I think the 2-stop strategy would have worked today, but I think it's all evened it out a little bit too, shaking it up. Well, I say shaking it up. It's all evening out now because the 1-stop and 2-stop, it doesn't really matter no more because of a safety car coming out. And plus, they're pretty much all on the same tyres anyway, or around the same age. Miles Marquez is pretty much on a newer tyre, but his 2 laps going to make a difference. Maybe his pace will be a little bit better in comparison towards the guys ahead. But Wards, I dare say, is going to be swamped on the straight when it comes in at the end of the next lap. So, Milan, I'm going to go to the tournament. Be right back.
Good luck, mate. So, 15 laps to go. Gonna have to wait until Ticey closed the gap. Ticey, he's 31 seconds behind, making his pit stop now. But Wards, he's the only one who has stayed out in this safety car period. So he is gonna be in trouble when the safety car restarts. You might not notice it immediately because his tires are still gonna be good, of course, after only 6 laps of racing. But he will definitely suffer towards the end of the race. But he has chosen track position over fresher tires, and he's the only one to do so. Now, of course, he didn't make his pit stop quite recently, so his tire wear might not be as high, but it's definitely an interesting case for the McLaren. We'll see how it's gonna work out for him. Erik then in second place. All his good work has completely become undone. He had that gap after the incident between Lucas and Robert, but that gap has vanished immediately. Sasha behind though with the 3-second time penalty, but then it's Kick, Fireblaze, Mels definitely wants to go forward now on those brand new hards. Kick, let's see what he can do. Hasn't really looked very strong so far tonight, but he might get a jump on some of these drivers when they're getting stuck behind the McLaren of Wards. And Erik, he is going to want to get past the McLaren as soon as possible and then build a gap and control the rest of the race, but that is easier said than done, and still anything can happen when you've got the entire top 13 all close to each other, but at least both RB drivers are out, so we're not going to get another safety car from them, as Ticey is still behind. So I think we're going to have to wait one more lap before we get this race back going. So it's going to be 13 laps then on the for the final stint in this race to determine the race winner. With Wards, Erik, Sasha, Kick, Fireblaze, Mels, Hafmil, Lucas, Robbe and Misha the top 10, so quite a competitive top 10, I must say. And then Mominik in P11 and Mathies in P12. Mathies really has been quite invisible so far today. I saw him invalidate his final run in qualifying. He was up by around a 10th or 2 in the middle sector, so he might have been inside the top 10 if he hadn't done that. But besides that, he was not in the leading train of the ones who made the trying to go for the 1-stop. He was around 4 or 5 seconds behind, I think, on that first stint, and now found himself outside the top 10. But importantly, he's not without it. He's got hasn't got a 3-second time penalty yet, so he still could get some good points. And this safety car might give him a new opportunity to fight back through the field and get a solid top 10 result. We're also going to have to pay attention to the Ferrari in P9, see what he is going to be doing in this race. Surprisingly, he's one of the only drivers, one of the drivers who haven't picked up a 3-second time penalty yet. We've seen him go off track so many times, but he's done well enough to lift off the throttle to prevent getting himself a 3-second time penalty. So that's something at least. But we'll see what the stewards are going to have to say about the incident with Lucas afterwards. Lucas just ahead and in P8. He has got a 3-second time penalty. So does Happy Meal in P7. And then, of course, Sasha in P3. But we're at the end now of lap 23. Taisi has finally caught up to the back of the field. So I think it is time to go racing again for the final 13 laps of this race.
We all know that Wards is going to be swamped. Should he have pitted at the end of the safety car? But here we go. Then the safety car is coming in towards the end of this lap. Racing resumes and things could get messy. You know what happens when drivers there on older tyres get in the way? We've seen it plenty of times. But hopefully Eric doesn't tangle up with him like he did with Khatakash, who's retired. The first driver in this race to retire. Khatakash Jens hasn't really had the best of luck this season. So here we go. Then they're crawling now towards the stadium section. You can see the heat blades off the rear of the car as well. The tyre, well, the engine overheated as well. But here we go. Let's see what happens then. It is time to go racing here in Mexico once the safety car peels in towards the end of the pit lane. Very smart choice. Loads of drivers sliding through the final corner. Miles Marquez immediately on the back of his Mercedes teammate. His newer tyres, of course. We see both Mercedes in battle as we're headed down towards this long straight, down towards turn where we go. Here comes Eric side by side with the McLaren as McLaren force him to the inside line as they make contact as well. Wards is not giving up against the Red Bull driver. Goes deeper towards turn 2. And look at Sasha. Oh no! He makes contact. And here comes Kick around the outside. He goes off the track. They're 3 abreast. And here comes Fireblaze. We're almost 4 abreast on the straight. Down in towards turn 3 we go. Or turn 4. Sasha locks up. Goes off the track. And the Happy Meal is there too. Look at Eric. And I have no idea what to say. There's cars absolutely everywhere. Just let it unfold. Let it unfold indeed. But somehow Ward still remains in the Grand Prix. Sasha has fallen down into P6. Fireblaze up into P3 now ahead of Kick. And Miles Mackey's is up into P5. There was all sorts of drama going on down towards the first couple of corners. Kick has gained a penalty. He's definitely had his Grand Prix. Sasha has gained a penalty too. A driver who was a contention to win this Grand Prix. But some drivers, like again, impatient going down towards turn 2, not picking the right moments, not being meticulous. And here comes the Ferrari down the inside of Happy Meal. They make contact going towards the stadium section as Happy Meal stays ahead of Robbie Jacobs. That was Robbie Jacobs who made contact with him down towards turn 1. But Eric now on the back of Wards. He tried it on the last lap, but let's see if this lap is successful. The answer is no. I think why is he waiting for the DRS? Eric knows there is absolutely no point like fighting out with Wards. There is no point going side by side with him. You know he's an easy target. You know you're going to get ahead of him. So don't make it hard for yourself. Don't make contact. And we see Robbie going side by side with Happy as Happy stays ahead of Robbie Jacobs for the time being. I don't think Robbie Jacobs is happy either, but he's not able to make the move this time. They've lost the DRS towards the guys in front. Misha's behind. Robbie Jacobs switches to the inside line in towards turn 4. Outbreaks himself, and this time say all contact again. Same thing like with Lucas as well, as he outbroke himself going down towards turn 4 against him, as Happy Meal stays ahead for the time being. This is a fight that Robbie Jacobs doesn't want to be in, as it's just gone downhill for Robbie Jacobs ever since that pit stop, ever since the contact as well. He's got his elbows out today, has the aggressive Belgian driver. Every single time he races, he always gets himself in some sort of kerfuffle and fights indeed. And Lucas there side by side with Misha going in towards turn number 14 now, but Misha too low the brakes, so he goes off the track, somehow stays ahead of Lucas, but Lucas there in desperate and impatient to get past him as well after he lost out massively due to that safety car. But here we go on the main straight. There's no way Fireblaze, look at Fireblaze, he's super close with Kick right behind, but here comes Boards and here comes Eric with the DRS wide open as he gets pushed onto the grass there, loses speed, connects wheels, and Eric is ahead. There was no way Wards was giving up whatsoever there, as I thought for 1 second he might go down the inside in towards turn 1. What's going on behind us? That is going to be Misha overtaken by Lucas, or all the way around, sorry. Lucas trying to overtake Misha, but Fireblaze has overtaken Wards. He goes up into P2, and he made it easier for him. Here comes Kick now, side by side with the McLaren driver too. Kick goes up into P... Oh, contact there with the nose cone. And here comes Miles Mackis there, as he picks off the McLaren driver. Kick is up into P3, and here, oh, contact between those two. Miles Mackis has shoved Kick out of the way, and Miles Mackis goes up into P3. Now, which Mercedes driver could win this race? They're both on the podium together for the first time this season. They haven't stepped on the podium together at all this season because of the strategies of safety car running their races together. But Fireblaze is struggling to stay with the DRS range, and somehow, some way, Fireblaze is back on the podium. Can you believe it? but just the silent assassin, just picking off one by one, and somehow has found himself on the podium again, like he was at the British GP, not the British GP, like he was at the Monza Grand Prix last week as well. So the Dutchman, once again, showing why he's always there. He's quiet as well, isn't he, at the first part of the Grand Prix? All of a sudden he comes alive and somehow finds himself on the podium. It's unbelievable how he does it. And Ward's there on the back of Kick. That's the last thing he needs, Kick, to be overtaken by Wards on older tyres as we now go down in towards turn 1. Kick goes a bit deep there. I wonder if there's damage on the Mercedes car of Miles Marquez. I don't think there is. I think it's going to be a wise thing to do now for both Mercedes drivers. I know these two don't really have some sort of personal connection with each other. I know that sounds wrong, but some sort of relationship with each other. I know these two like to work together differently as well. They've had their fair shares of moments in the past races, but I think the wise thing to do is work together. You know your teammate is on newer tyres. You know your teammate is behind you with DRS. Slingshot him past, down on the main straight, and give yourself a chance of getting the DRS range of Eric. If Miles Marquez could get past Fireblades on the main straight, that means there's DRS. That means the gap will be under 1 second towards Eric. That means a lot of DRS on Eric again on the second straight. So I think these two have a good shot of winning the Grand Prix. The question is which one, and I think Miles Marquez is the most is the driver to bet on as well. So let's see if Miles Marquez can get past Fireblaze and get back with the DRS range of Eric in P1.
Miles did run out wide though in the final sector, so he's only 7/10 of a second away. So he's quite a long way behind. So I don't think he's quite close enough to make that move. Well, he might get ahead of his teammate. Not really a slingshot though, as he goes up the inside and gets that second position. Fireblaze drops down to third, and Kick is falling behind once again. But Miles now within 1 second, so he's done just enough, and he will have to DRS once again. So Erik will not be happy with that. He's just going to have to contend with even more drivers out there in this fight as Lucas picks up with the 3 second time penalty again. He drops all the way down to P10. He's once again in the fight with Misha. He gets back ahead though of the Alpine. Misha not having a great time either. Now under pressure from Matisse in P11. Also picked up a time penalty at the safety car restart. But he's still in this fight there with the Alpine just up ahead for the final few spots inside the top 10, and off goes the Alpine of Misha, and he picks up a 3 second time penalty as well, and becomes the many driver to do that, and only a handful are without a penalty, and including the top 3, which are the most important. Erik, now look how close the Mercedes is behind. Erik has been saving up the battery, so I don't really expect him to fight much against the Mercedes, who is probably going to get by relatively easily. Although Miles, is he using that battery? Not quite yet. So is he going to try and stay behind, or will he slingshot his way past? Erik is using the battery to try and defend, but here comes the Mercedes close again, but not quite close enough, as Misha has retired in the pit lane, and so that's the second Alpine out of the Mexican Grand Prix. Look at that, the entire top 6 now within DRS range. Robert has fell out of that. So is Happemil in P8, and then Lucas in 9th. That Wards is defending against Sasha, who's going to try and go around the outside, but that is not quite going to work out. Now trying to go for a switchback. Wards is struggling on those older hard tires, and he is starting to fall out of the DRS train. Bit of contact as the Ferrari behind him slightly taps him through turn 6 at the exit of turn 5. But he's kept it pointing in the right direction. Gap though is 9/10 of a second towards Kick, and Kick is now closing in as well. Fireblaze is close to the back of Miles, but at the moment Erik is doing just enough to stay within the lead. But there's still 7 laps to go in this race. For how long can he hold on to that leading position? Miles, he's got a 2-lap tire advantage that might help him out in those final few laps, but the gap once again is half a second going on to the start-finish straight, and he's not really burning the battery to try and desperately get ahead of the Red Bull driver. So I think Erik should stay in position on this lap. Will be safe against the Mercedes, who gets close but not going to go for the lunge of the inside, as Robin also got within DRS range. So we've got the entire top 9 back within DRS range, trailed by Lucas in P9, but the top 3 getting closer to each other. Ward's still holding on to P5 despite his 5-lap tire disadvantage to the majority of the drivers around him. And then Sasha in P6, and Sasha now with a 6 second time penalty. So that is not great news for the man second in the championship, especially not when your championship rival is leading this race and you've got a very good chance of winning the race. While Sasha will probably drop, well, at least behind Robbe, but probably behind Happemil as well, who has only got a 3-second time penalty. But he is almost following out of DRS range. As Robbe ahead just goes a little bit too wide. But at the end of lap 30, 6 laps to go. It's Erik being chased by the 2 Mercedes drivers. But for now, he is doing enough to stay ahead and maintain the lead of the race.
This race is started to reach its boiling point now with about 5 laps left to go in this race. I think Miles Makis is sitting pretty in P2 just waiting for the right opportunity to happen as well. I think he's saving battery there because he was low as Erik goes defensive on the right side. I think he's trying to keep him dirty here as he's either left or right as well as we head down towards turn 1. I think Miles Makis is going to save one on the inside. There's no point for Miles Makis to go down the inside now because that advantage will swing back towards Erik's way, which means he will have the DRS on lap 35 or 36, depends when Miles Makis overtakes him, and therefore get back ahead of him. So Miles Makis is playing this smart and safe, knowing he's got the better tyres in P2, the DRS, the battery, and the advantage as well. He just best hope that Fireblaze don't pressurise him to force him into a lead as well. I think a Mercedes driver could win this race. If Erik wins this race, then that'll be a formidable job for the Red Bull driver to keep the Mercedes behind and at bay, because Erik's been under all sorts of pressure from different drivers all the way through. He's had Robert behind him, he's had Sasha behind him, he's had Kick behind him as well, and now he's got Miles Makis behind him too for company as well. So Erik's been under pressure the whole race. It's been a pressure race for the Dutchman, but the Dutchman hasn't cracked. He hasn't really shown any dents in his composure so far, but we did see a slight slip up against Hartikas. That wasn't really pressure, that was just eagerness, and he's ambitious and overzealous to get past the LP driver. So I think that's something he needs to learn and maintain as well in the next couple of races, because I think his weakness is impatience, and that's not really a good thing to have, especially when you're high pressure like this. But here we go, Miles Makis is getting closer and closer and closer. He's waiting for the final of the Grand Prix as well. Let's not forget to mention about the man in P5, Wards. He's done here comes Sasha down the inside as he goes deep in the corner. World space contact, he clips the apex, and there's still we want to out of turn 3 we go. And this is a power. This is traction for power now. This is a battle for power traction. As here comes Robbie Jacobs now, side by side with his teammate, go down the inside of the McLaren to the 3 abreast with McLaren in a Ferrari sandwich. Oh, more contact. It's getting very messy now in this particular part of the race. But I wanted to say, it's a fight for traction out turn 3, just mixed up my words there as well. But somehow Ward stays in P5, keeping both Ferraris at bay. And I must say, in this race, both Ferraris have shot themselves in the foot because they were in control at one point. Robbie Jacobs was in contention for a potential lead of the Grand Prix, and so was Sasha. But they both, with their ambitious and just trying too hard in the race and not being methodical, calculated, cool, and thinking about it as well. It's just been too aggressive in this race, and that's why they're down in P6 and in P9 as well. So they've cost themselves a lot of points in this race, and hindsight is a wonderful thing to take back and look out for as well. So it's lap 33 out of 36 then. Miles Makis is waiting for the right moment, 35 or lap 36, as we see Robbie Jacobs then side by side with the Lebanese driver once again in towards turn 1 as Robert the Belgium gets ahead of the Lebanese driver, who's done a solid job so far and hasn't picked up a penalty in this race either. So half the grid, I must say, haven't picked up a penalty in this race, which is Erik, Miles Makis, Fire, Robbie Jacobs and Wards, whilst the other half has picked up penalties. So it's an even split, 3 drivers penalties. No, it's not, sorry, my maths is absolutely shocking. 7 drivers in this race. Am I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I can't count, Milan. I think 7 drivers have picked up penalties in this race.
7 to 5. Yeah.
Yes, 7 to 5. Yeah, 7 plus 5 is 12. I thought it was 6-6. Yeah, you are right. But Tycee has picked up another penalty as well. They're running down in P12. Both Kick Salvers, who have been quite quiet in this race, they're P11 and P12, despite a bad qualifying. Miles Makis, though, has played with fire, with track limits. He messed up turn 14, went a bit wide, and may have resulted as a warning. So you've got to be very careful because track limits can catch anybody out as well. It seems Erik is putting an advantage. I think Miles Makis there is struggling for grip, and Fireblaze is right behind him too. So it looks like the pendulum is starting to slip back Erik's way. I think Miles Makis has got to really push now because Erik is pulling away on the main straight too. I think Miles Makis wants to save battery, but he can't because Erik's battery saving has been so incredible indeed, and it's helped him as well. Almost broke out DRS race as well, despite being hunted down. There is 3 laps left to go in this race, and Miles Makis now, time is on the essence for him. He's got to decide when to make this move, 35 or 36, or maybe this lap, which is a wise thing to do, considering that Eric's got some good pace advantage as well. This is all in Miles Makis' hands. When is he going to decide to strike, and what is he going to do? Can Eric defend from it? Does he have the straight line speed of battery to defend against Miles Makis' attack? We'll see. We're starting to reach the intensity of this race now, and we'll see if Miles Makis can overtake Eric. Lap 34, 36. Is it the next lap? Is it lap 36? And what will Eric do to defend against this? This is getting so intense now. The climax is starting to reach now at the intensity as well. As we head towards turn 14 we go. Miles Makis, we've seen him struggle before in this particular part of the track, the third sector, where he just can't see he's got the throttle. You can see him just sliding around in these slow speed corners. It's super important to get these exits right. Now the exits, and he's six tenths behind. Lap 35 out of 36. Is it this lap? We'll see. The DRS is wide open. The battery is being depleted on the straight. Eric is derated. Here we go then. He's getting closer and closer, but no, it's not this lap. Is it? The answer is no. It's all coming down to the wire here on the next lap of the Grand Prix then. So it's all been decided on lap 36. Has Miles Makis timed this perfection, or has he wasted too much time? We'll see. As he's getting closer, going down into towards turn, we can see the battery as well. Eric is being very smart. He knows that Miles Makis is not going to overtake him down towards turn 4, so he knows he can put it in on and save battery. Look at Miles Makis sliding too in these corners, Milan.
Yeah, so close between these two. But it's all going to be decided on the final lap of this race, lap 36 of 36. And Miles is staying behind. Eric is saving the battery in the final part of this lap to try and defend against the Mercedes. So now he's using a little bit to have at least a little bit of a gap, as Warts now picks up a 3-second time penalty in the end, as he gets one too. But Miles, he is 5 tenths of a second away. Will it be enough though? As he is closing in once again. It's super close between these two. And what can Fireblaze do? He's just going to sit behind and wait and hope that the two ahead of him collide like they did last week in Monza. But here comes Miles now with the slipstream. To the inside they go. DRS open, ERS deployed. Here comes the Mercedes. And is it going to be an easy overtake? Eric defends the inside. Here comes Miles. Back to the inside, side by side for the race lead. Miles later on the brakes. But Eric is going to try and go for the switchback. But Miles, he will have the DRS once again on this second straight. And he will have the advantage. And I don't think there's anything Eric can do about it, as he is out of battery as well. And Miles has taken away the lead of the race. And Eric is 4 tenths of a second away. And I don't think there's any point on this racetrack where he can try and get ahead, especially not with the Mercedes. He's got a tire advantage. As in the background, they're fighting it out with the two Williams. Oh, and Lucas gets forced off track there by Sasha as he fights it out with the two Ferraris, not for the first time in this race. But Miles, what a move. And he has calculated that perfectly. And he takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Look at the gap he's got, 6 tenths as he heads into the final sector.
He has timed that to perfection. There was nothing Eric could do. He was defenseless, he was vulnerable, and the fireworks are going off here in the stadium section. Miles Makis, his last win was at the US Grand Prix, further up in North America, and here in South America, he's headed towards the final 2 corners, and once again, Miles Makis is claimed as the race winner. He wins the Mexican Grand Prix. What a sensational drive, calculated, executed flawless drive for Miles Makis. It's Mercedes 1-3, and it's for the first time this season both Mercedes on the podium together. What a drive from Miles Makis there indeed. It thought for 1 second in the first stint the strategy was gone, just like VSC being deployed. It wasn't going their way, but until the safety car came out, things started to look sunny for them again. And here in Mexico, they've done it again. A win in North America, a win in South America. They can be so pleased with that as well. Here is Miles Makis. And Eric, well, do you know what? Fair play, because I thought Eric would actually try and do something robust, but in the end, he had to accept defeat and finish in P2. He knows that he has the. I think he's thinking long term as well, because he knows that his closest championship rivals are behind him and finish further down the order. And taking P2 is better than taking no points and risking it all. So Eric, he might be a bit annoyed, but at the same time, no, P2 is better than nothing. And Fireblaze is on the podium once again, as the Dutchman somehow finds himself on the podium. and he'll be very, very happy as well to add to his tally. The Dutchman keeps on picking up podiums from 6 to P3. He's super, super conservative as well. We don't really see him elbows out and being so aggressive. He's just a driver where he just sits back, relaxes, and waits for the right moment and opportunity, and he certainly has as well, and he finished P3. I think it's a good thing as well for him to work cohesively with his teammates and not fight him as well, because that'd be unwise thing to do, considering that there was a chance of winning for one of the Mercedes drivers, which was Miles Makis. So yeah, Miles Makis did take the victory, and Mercedes take away a lot of points. This is big, big points for Mercedes as they slowly start to creep in the Constructors' Championship, and we'll see if their form continues as well. But happy about P6 and Eric in P2. Not a bad day for Red Bull. J.S.R. Robert, despite everything he's been through in this race, is still P4 somehow as well. So all the drama, all the melee, all the carnage, it's been absolute pandemonium for Robert in P4 there. And Wards finishes in P5 despite being on 22 hard lap hold hardcore power tyres. Happy Meal P6, Sasha P7, look at that, Mummy Nick up into P8. We barely mentioned him, but somehow Mummy Nick is up into P8, so he'll be absolutely through. Both Kick Saubers have lacked pace so far in the Mexican Grand Prix, but one of them ends up in the top 10, which is Miles Makis. I think Ticey finished in P11. I think it was only 11 drivers who finished, 12, who finished in this race. But we do have the race winner in the podium interviews. We're waiting for his teammate because we usually go from third to first. So sit tight and be patient, Miles Makis. We're just waiting. I didn't see you join the party. I think you joined at the same time. But Fireblaze, mate, once again, just like at the British GP and elsewhere, somehow, some way, you found yourself on the podium once again, and you must be absolutely thrilled. That's 3 podiums in a row as well. At the British GP, Monza, and now here in Mexico. And I did say last week as well, watch out for you, Mexico, because you could be a threat in the race, which you certainly were. But you knew that your teammate behind you was on better hardcore power tyres, and you lost the DRS towards Eric. So in your mind, you thought that it was better to let Miles Makis go and go and attack Eric, which means the DRS train would be connected, and therefore you may have a chance of doing something later on in the Grand Prix. Depends if Eric and Miles Makis make contact. So it was like your thought process today?
Well, basically, yeah, and of course, ahead of that, I was just trying to get the strategy right. I was first up thinking of a 1 stop, but then I noticed that the tire wear was quite high, so I switched to a 2 stop, relatively late though, but I was lucky enough to get the VSC. I think Leonard caused it, I'm not sure, but yeah, I was just fortunate on that, and I was able to get some people in the pit lane as well because they had the double stack.
Yeah, I think you were P5 at one point as well. Would you expect the podium today at all? Because we saw around you there was so much carnage and melee between people, like the 2 Williams drivers, the Ferrari drivers, that was absolutely everywhere. So, did you anticipate a podium on the cars here tonight? Because we know you started down in P7 or P8, but ended up in P3 anyway.
Well, I knew there was a shot at the podium, but at the beginning of the race, I was losing hope relatively quickly because I was just stuck. But yeah, it all turned around a bit.
Well, congratulations on another P3 as well. You know what they say, consistency is, for one sure, like consistency is key as well, especially in the longevity of a championship, because you've been in a championship season before where you've had like 1 or no wins, and you're super close behind in terms of a driver in the championship who's had quite a few wins but less consistency than you. And the next race is in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and we definitely know that missiles will be there as well. But Fireblaze, do you think that you can be a missile in Saudi Arabia?
I hope so, man. I hope I don't hit Eric then, but
Well, we'll see. So thank you very much, Fireblaze. Pleasure to speak to you. And we move on. Milan, you got any questions for Fireblaze?
No, just congratulations. For one moment I thought you were going to win this race when you had Eric and Mills fighting out for the race lead, but maybe next week they'll collide and you win, so let's see then.
Maybe.
Can only hope.
I wasn't lucky enough.
Your day will come.
Anyways, move on to Eric. So, Eric, thank you for joining me in the podium interviews. I know you don't like doing them, but appreciate you taking your time. Eric, make sure your voice is shared as well, unlike last time.
I think it is.
You think it is? All right. So, congratulations on P2 today. And I think you knew that the win was avoided for you because Miles Mackis was in your DRS range. You tried everything legally in the book to try and keep it behind, but you were just lacking battery on the main straight and had to give you a win. Are you disappointed? Do you think there's other ways you could have prevented that? Are you happy knowing that you gained championship points on your rivals?
Well, no, I think Mels played smart by staying behind. I thought maybe I had a shot by maybe like running away to fight the final lap, but it just wasn't really possible. And then I tried to defend, and he covered off my switchback quite nicely. So fastest lap, pole, and P2. I'm happy with that.
We did see a bit of a moment with Hazakas going down towards turn 8 there, where Hazakas was on the older hardcore power tyres. Just walk us through what happened there.
Well, that was on me. I tried to switch back, then he like braked early, then I went for a half move on the outside, and it didn't work like I intended it to work.
You got a lot of people as well. It was a one-star versus a two-star strategy. And do you think that today the safety cars helped you? Because do you think that you could have caught up to the guys who were on a one-star strategy if it wasn't for the safety cars that came out?
I have no clue, to be honest. I don't really know like the difference in pace. So, and I know Warts and Micha are quite quick. So I don't know.
We saw a lot of people behind you as well making so much contact. I bet you were so relieved to see everybody fighting so hard, like Robbie Jacobs and the two Williams drivers as well, and the guys behind you. How relieved were you to see that?
Well, I knew Robbo would maybe cause some mayhem in the back, so I was happy to see that.
I bet you were as well. Well, congratulations, Peter, mate. You keep extending your championship lead as well. And Eric, I must say as well, you've been so formidable in this season as well. What has changed for you as well this season compared towards last season? Like, what has changed for you?
I think definitely the grid has downgraded quite a lot as well. Like still quite a lot of quick people, of course, but like the tennis isn't great anymore like it used to be, which is quite sad to see. But my confidence has grown a bit since last season, I think, as well.
Well, nice to hear, mate, and thank you very much. Congratulations to P2. Milan Langer, you got any questions for Eric?
Well, no, it's only halfway through the season, but you finished on the podium 6 out of 7 races you've completed. I must say, great consistency, definitely an improvement to what you used to race like. So, congrats on that. But you can start to think about the championship maybe, because the way you've been racing this season, you're incredibly with the tire wear, and every single race you find yourself in the fight for the race win. Every single week you see your rivals making some sort of mistake, in tonight Sasha as well, way down the order. So are you thinking about the championship already, or just trying to focus on do your best every single race?
Yeah, slowly. I think if I can keep up the podiums, it should be fine. But like one blowout, me DNF, Bel's win, for example, could maybe like spoil my chances.
Yeah, maybe turn forward. Jetta will wait for you. We'll see you next week.
Who crashed there last season? SDN? Do you know what? I'm not going to.
Who did?
Yeah. I'm not going to try and remember who crashed there, because plenty of people did. But yeah, well done today, Eric. Congratulations. Goed gedaan vandaag.
Bedankt.
Geen probleem. Moving on to Miles Mackis. Now, Milan, I'll let you do the interviews in Dutch.
In Dutch?
Yes.
That's in het Nederlands dus.
Ja, doe ja.
Oké. Gefeliciteerd alvast, om mee te beginnen. Dat vind ik wel net zo netjes. De tweede overwinning volgens mij dit seizoen. Niet de beste start van het seizoen. Ik bedoel, je won in de eerste paar races, maar je hebt niet altijd het beste geluk gehad. Nou, vandaag een beetje, vanwege de virtual safety car en de safety car. Moet natuurlijk een beetje goed timen met wanneer die naar buiten komt. Het is nooit de vraag of ze naar buiten komen, het is de vraag wanneer ze komen. Maar vandaag zal het er wel een keer mee. Maar in ieder geval die laatste paar rondes is natuurlijk altijd in de DRS-trein afwachten. En dat deed je natuurlijk ook wachten tot de laatste ronde. Maar je had je teamgenoot achter je, dus je had niet echt de druk van achter. Hoe moeilijk was het dan in die laatste paar rondes? Was het gewoon Ik wacht wel, of ik wacht gewoon alle ronden af en ik ga ervoor in de laatste ronde. Want je weet, Erik, niks tegen hem of zo, maar hij kan soms hard verdedigen. Hij kan strijdvaardig zijn, dus hoe nerveus was je in de gaan van de laatste ronde wetende dat je het gevecht aan moest gaan voor de leiding?
We hadden eigenlijk eerst als strategie, ik en Fire, om uiteindelijk de laatste bocht beide voorbij aan Erik te gaan. Maar uiteindelijk kwam ik erachter dat Erik waarschijnlijk een gaatje zou gaan trekken en natuurlijk te sparen voor het laatste rechte stuk. En daar zat ik natuurlijk mee in mijn hoofd tijdens de race van, wat als hij inderdaad een te grote gap heeft op mij ingaan de laatste ronde. En het viel me op dat op zich wel meeviel en ik bleef bij en toen de laatste bocht had ik ook een prima exit. En toen wist ik eigenlijk al, omdat ik toch een volle batterij had en ik vrijwel laag rijd, dat ik er makkelijk voorbij kom.
Ja, nou, dat is aardig goed gelukt. Je hebt natuurlijk dubbele DRS-zone, dat helpt natuurlijk altijd wel een beetje hier op Mexico. En je kon niet heel veel doen, omdat je natuurlijk altijd wel de ERS-voordeel hebt. Maar hij ging natuurlijk dit weekend in met 67 punten. Nou ja, nu 25 erbij denk ik. Dus ik denk dat je nu de top 3 in het kampioenschap ingaat. Natuurlijk, gat naar Erik blijft wel groot, want hij blijft gewoon presteren. Maar denk je dat je nog iets kan doen in de tweede helft van dit seizoen? Kan je dit momentum voortzetten, denk je?
Ik heb aan het begin van het seizoen natuurlijk aan de leiding gereden van het kampioenschap en toen pakte ik inderdaad ook wel veel punten. De afgelopen 3 races heb ik 0 punten gehaald, omdat ik er 2 keer niet was en 1 keer DNF'de. Dus daar heb ik heel veel punten laten liggen, denk ik, naar mijn mening. En ik denk dat het is misschien mogelijk als Erik bijvoorbeeld een keer een race niet aanwezig is of een keer een fout maakt, dan zou het in principe kunnen. Het seizoen is natuurlijk nog best wel eventjes, dus ik blijf niet opgeven, maar als Erik gewoon inderdaad zo consistent blijft zoals hij nu is, dan is daar een kleine mogelijkheid.
Zeker, maar in ieder geval goed gedaan vandaag. Goede strategie en goed je weer een keer in de punten zien in ieder geval. Als je dus zit 3 races zonder punten en dan terugkomst met een overwinning, dat is natuurlijk altijd fijn. Laten we hopen dat je het voor kan zetten voor de komende paar races. Maar Jamie, any more questions?
Heb je genoten van de race?
Ja. Ik vond het echt leuk. Alleen, goed, want die virtual safety car was al kut. Omdat, de 2 stoppers konden allemaal naar binnen en Erik zat 5 seconden achter me. Dus die had me zeker kunnen catchen. En die safety car, ik zat een beetje te twijfelen om überhaupt nog te gaan. Maar uiteindelijk, ik wist natuurlijk niet op hoeveelste plek ik terecht kwam. Maar gelukkig was dat niet al te ver. Maar ik zat wel achter een fire kick, die is goed. Erik ook. Parts ook. Dus het was ook wel, ik heb ook echt heel veel geluk gehad dat ik gewoon uiteindelijk de laatste rondes 2 lag. Want ik denk dat dat ook het beste is, gewoon de laatste ronde ingaan achter de nummer 1 en dan gewoon alles geven. Want dan kan je in principe niks meer als verdediger.
Precies. You agree with that, Jamie?
I can understand some of it, yeah. But the donkey ball, Miles Marquez, goed gedaan vandaag. Top job. Veel succes voor Saudi-Arabië.
Ja.
Lekker man.
Jeddah is nog mijn best. I will see.
Well, thank you very much, Miles Marquez. Congratulations on first place. Back to English now. And Milan Langer, thank you very much for commentating with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, blast to commentate with you here in Mexico. But in Jeddah, it could be something different with a lot of missiles there during the race.
Yeah, hopefully not. Of course, not in the game, but it's might see some missiles in other forms. Like we know, maybe Robbo will race. We will see. But it could be a fun race. Definitely going to see a safety car there with turn 4.
Yeah, I think Robbie Eccles could definitely terrorise the race. But that's enough for us. Hopefully you all enjoyed the Mexican Grand Prix. And it is Miles Marquez who wins his 2nd win of the season after winning in North America in America and South America here in Mexico. So we'll see you all later. Goodbye for now. Take care and enjoy the Chinese Grand Prix this year. I'm pretty sure it'll be a Mercedes 1-2 with Antonelli and Rosberg first and second place. But we'll see you all, George Russell. But we'll see you all later. Goodbye for now. Expression later tot ziens. Dankjewel.